Forgot to do that.
Also, Bill, I assume you've already changed title?
Yes.
Okay.
Are we without Aaron tonight?
Yes, we are without
Okay.
Erin tonight. She came home from work exhausted,
Gotcha.
crawled into her chair and slept until 8:30. And she hadn't seen it, so she's just like, screw that.
Gotcha.
Twitch.
Sure,
I didn't listen
The
until
View of
pretty late,
Shame.
but I also was able, like, I've listened to it for the first time recently enough that if I had to, I could go without, like last week.
No, I listened to it for the first time at like 5, 6. Erin crawled into bed. I threw on my headphones and just turned it on.
Wow. Hey, Twitch.
2:41.
Maybe sometime in the near future, possibly, like, speed this process up here, because, wow. You are taking forever.
Can they hear us? Are we streaming?
I can't even see if we are even podcasting live. According to what I'm seeing on Twitch on my phone, Unearthly Podcast still isn't even broadcasting. That or OBS is screwing up again.
www.
Which actually happened, I think, last night or the night before. I had to literally stop the stream and restart it, and then it finally started to work just as I was stopping it.
According to this, we are live.
Yeah.
I'm not getting anything. Closing the program. God damn it. Twitch, your programs. If you're gonna update them properly. Please.
Yep, and I audio just to hear. I audio just in time to hear you make a swear, Matt.
We've never been a G-rated podcast.
Yes, I know.
It would have been nice if I had given myself enough time to finish the Rebels finale so we could mention that tonight, but
oh God,
damn it,
I haven't seen this entire season.
Then probably anything I said
premiere.
would have been a spoiler because there's been a lot of like high intensity stuff leading up to the finale.
I watched the premiere and then I kept meaning to go back and watch it. And I haven't seen anything.
Gotcha.
I've been so busy with the massive chain watching of Critical Role, which is almost done.
Yeah.
How far are you? How far are you?
They're trying to put together the trommels.
Okie dokie. You're deep into where I was.
The trommels
you're
sounds
past where I
like
started.
a magical race of forest-dwelling purple people.
Vixie is telling me not to make spoilers.
No spoilers. Yeah, he's yelling in the chat.
Yeah, I didn't say what they were. It's just that's as much as you can tell without spoilerizing.
Before we start getting into like Ultima 9 questions. What's a trommel? Spoilers. Shh. And Vixie waves. Yes, hi. I am also aware that Vixie had a nap tonight, so he might actually be watching the whole show tonight.
Well, considering how fast these usually go when it's just reviewing a freaking Big Finish audio.
That, and also the fact that like everybody's had naps today, apparently.
I haven't.
Or slept late.
Or slept late.
Did not have naps.
I went to bed at 8. I got up at noon. I came out here, had lunch, crawled onto Conan Exiles, and started up Critical Role. And then pretty much shot straight through until Aaron got home, and then I listened to what we did and played Conan Exiles, and then got off and realized, shit, I have to do the news.
I went to sleep at 1, woke up at 7:30, decided it was too damn early to wake up, closed my eyes for 5 minutes, and it was 1 again, and then I got up.
Aaron's not on tonight, Vixie. Oh, also it is now 5 after, so are we ready?
Oh, yep. Are we ready?
I assume we are, so alright, switching over to this tab. And get into VLC, and we are starting in 10, 9, 8.
Welcome, Mad Boars, Wild Dogs, and Coppers, to the 148th episode, the 248th episode of an Unearthly podcast, streaming live on the 7th of March, 2018, and featuring the Great White Hurricane, written by Guy Adams and starring David Bradley as the Doctor, Claudia Grant as Susan Foreman, Jamie Glover as Ian Chesterton, and Gemma Powell as Barbara Wright. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and I don't know where to get a good cheesesteak around here. With me are Mad Matt Winchell.
I'm waiting for a nice fancy chair for tomorrow.
Randy Ronson McCulloch.
I gotta go to the dentist on Friday.
And Tim the Enchanter Sheridan.
Howza, hoza, heeza, yoa!
Romeo Moon will not be with us this evening because she had a very tiring day at work and was not able to do that and get to the episode on time.
She was doing 3 people's work at once, so
Joy.
yeah.
Kind of like my Sunday.
He's earned it.
Happens far too often at Aaron's work.
This past Sunday was the first time that I acted as the cook for a shift in about 8 years.
Fantastic. 10 out of 10.
Is that like riding a bicycle or?
Not quite. Much more complicated.
I don't know. That would drive me absolutely insane.
All right. So the news.
Yes.
The news.
On tonight's show, we are keeping our new rapid fire news format, and of course birthdays. Followed which by a little bit of geek talk. I have a little bit of something to talk about there. I have no real rant of the week other than, hey, look, toothaches hurt. We don't have
That's
a review.
good to know.
We don't have a review of Shame this week. I don't think we have any YouTube comments. And then on to our no longer 5-minute challenge. And then our episode review, our final thoughts and ratings. So moving on to birthdays, first of all. We have 3 birthdays this week. First one was right after our podcast last week on the 1st of March. Was Roger Delgado, the master from 1971 to 73, the John Pertwee master, the original, so to speak. Would have been 100, but died in 1973 at 55.
He doesn't like that we ended our master run, and he just had to come back for one final appearance.
Haha,
Not-
so yeah.
Yes.
I'm not dead yet. Got better.
Also, on the 2nd of March is Michael Troughton, the son of Patrick Troughton, who turned 63. And then finally on the 4th of March is Matt Lucas, who of course played Nardole up until the end of the last season, turned 44. So happy birthday, Roger, posthumously, Michael, and Matt.
Yes.
We've got no lost stories this week. Nobody died in the Doctor Who universe. We have 0 episode news. There's been no news on production front. They might be on a break between filmings. And of course that takes us to cast and crew news, of which we have one. Tim.
Yes, we do, from the alumni. Recently, Matt Smith appeared on the show Desert Island Discs, a show which asks the question, if you were deserted on a desert island, what music would you want along? While on the show, he talked about Doctor Who, of course, and his time prior to being selected. He said that he experienced a wobble after being told he'd be David Tennant's successor, and after seeing Tennant's face on a set of plates, I was like, I don't think I'm going to do it, he confessed. My agent said, you're going to do it. He then went on to describe the role as one of the greatest experiences of his life. He talked about Doctor Who fans as a good bunch, mentioned one of the strangest things he'd seen is a tattoo of his own face, opposite that of David Tennant's on a woman's inner thigh. I said, what on earth does your boyfriend think? But he was there and he was smiling away. The topic switched to Jodie Whittaker shortly thereafter. He described her casting as the 13th Doctor as a brilliant choice. The show relies on big, broad, creative brushstrokes. When it's controversial, it's alive. It's brilliant. It's high time, and she'll be sensational because she has real humanity and she is funny. He also said the only advice he had given to Jodie is the same advice once given to him. Listen to no one. Desert Island Discs has been a staple of BBC radio since 1942. Doctor Who alumni who have appeared on the program include William Hartnell in 1965, John Pertwee in 1964, that episode is now lost, and David Tennant back in 2009.
All right.
Okay, but now what I know, what is Matt Smith's Desert Island Disc?
Fortunately, the article didn't actually say that. You'd actually have to listen to their stream of it to find out his choices.
Curses.
All right. From there, we're going forward to events and interviews. Bill?
All right. So we have... Oh, yeah. So we do have an event coming, which is Bedford Charity Con 4.
Hang on. I just saw a typo. There we go.
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's right. You have it.
I wrote all this stuff up in less than an hour tonight. It was not good.
The 4th annual Bedford Convention for Charity to benefit the Bedford Food Bank is happening Saturday, the 7th of April. Guests include Colin Baker, the Sixth Doctor, Sophie Aldred, Ace, John Leeson, that would be K9, Angela Douglas, Ellen Thomas, and Mike Tucker.
Ticket they're minor. They were minor people. Angela Douglas was Doris Lethbridge Stewart in Battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
Ellen Thomas played a bunch of aliens during the RTD era, and Mike Tucker was one of the special effects guys.
The ticket prices are £42.50 for adults, $22.50 for 14 to 18-year-olds, and £15 for anyone under 14.
Okay. From there, we move on to media releases, and we have a couple of things here. First off, in video, a couple of weeks ago, we mentioned that the Season 12 Blu-ray, that's the first Tom Baker era, first season for Tom Baker, is coming out in the U.S. We now have details and news that has been confirmed for UK release as well. Features on the disc includes Tom Baker in Conversation, a candid new 1-hour interview with the Fourth Doctor. Behind the Sofa, classic clips from Season 12, viewed by Tom Baker, Philip Hinchcliffe, Louise Jameson, Janet Fielding, Sarah Sutton, and Sadie Miller. Ooh. New making of documentaries for the Sontaran Experiment and Revenge of the Cybermen. Immersive 5.1 surround sound mixes for the Ark in Space and Genesis of the Daleks. Optional, brand new, updated special effects for Revenge of the Cybermen. I can only hope that includes audio effects.
Yay!
Genesis of the Daleks omnibus movie version. Unseen since first broadcast in 1975. And then the Tom Baker years, the 1991 VHS release on disc for the first time. And then production archive material, PDF files from the BBC archives. It is available for pre-order now on Amazon.com for $69.99 and available on Amazon.co.uk for £39.99 pre-order. And as I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago, this is all coming out in the 11th of June in the UK and the 26th of June in the US. Okay. Also, kind of in streaming news, in the wake of recent gun violence, including the Florida high school shooting, Doctor Who alumni, including writers Paul Cornell, Jamie Matheson, Andrew Smith, Peter Harness, have gotten together with many podcasters across the internet for a charity podcast commentary of the war games. This charity is to raise money for various anti-gun organizations, including March for Our Lives, Brady Campaign to Prevent Gun Violence, Moms Demand Action, all of which were in the USA, Campaign for Gun Control in Canada, and Gun Control Network in the UK. People who want to hear this said podcast need to send such an organization that I just mentioned at least $10. Once you've made the donation, send a copy of your receipt to gallifreystands@realitybodpodcast.com. That's realitybombpodcast.com, if I can say it without stuttering.
I was wondering what a reality podcast was.
I'm sorry, I tried to speak too fast. And you'll get your information on how to download your special commentary podcast later this month. AUP is not part of this big podcast thing because, simply put, we weren't invited. We are too small. Either that or they didn't know how to contact us, one or the other.
I think it's probably the first, that they were not noticeable enough yet.
Yep.
YouTube
someday.
comments. Contact us there.
Contact us any way you like. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Ding!
Okay, so from there we go on to books.
Yes, from BBC Novels. The first piece of Jodie Whittaker merch has been revealed. One Doctor, Two Hearts. A children's book written by Adam Howling will be available from August 2nd. It can be ordered from amazon.co.uk for £7.99.
Yeah, it looks
And
like
also, while not as frequent as they have been, Candy Jar has recently announced a new book in the Lethbridge Stewart series. Lethbridge Stewart, The Man from Yesterday. In The Man from Yesterday, the brig receives news that Gordon Lethbridge Stewart, since in World War II, has mysteriously shown reappeared.
Should be mysteriously reappeared. I'm sorry. I rewrote that article really quickly.
Mysteriously reappeared. The Man from Yesterday, in its current run, is limited to 400 copies and is orderable from the Candy Jar website.
Okay.
All right, that brings us to Big Finish. Released yesterday is Tales from New Earth. 5 stories taking place on New Earth, the planet seen in 2006, New Earth, and 2007's Gridlock. It is available for £23.50 on CD or $20/£20, depending where you are, on download, or get it as a bundle with The War Master, Only the Good, and Gallifrey Time War for £63 on CD or 54 of whatever on download.
All right.
In May, Colin Baker's Sixth Doctor will get a new companion, Matthew Sharp, played by George Sear, as they face off against the Makara, semi-bionic beings.
I think it's Makara.
Is it Makara?
I think so.
Because I believe the macro is alright something.
Yes.
Semi-bionic beings programmed to kill. Lore of the Nomad can be pre-ordered from the Big Finish website for $14.99 on CD or $12.99 on download.
All right, and that is our news. Done again in about 20 minutes. All right. So next we're going to our Geek Talk section, and the reason that Aaron and I didn't have a live stream last night is because we decided to go to the theater, the cinema, and attend watch Black Panther.
I'll be watching it over spring break, so should I mute myself for this?
I am not. I remember. I don't give spoilers.
We usually do spoiler free.
Yeah.
Yep. I will spoiler stuff that happened a couple of years ago in the MCU, like the events, I believe it was in Civil War, which was last year.
I have watched that.
Last year, year before, where we actually first met T'Challa and his father, who was, spoiler, killed during a bombing attack on a UN building. That was in Civil War. That was one of the beginning things, because so that's the first time that we met Black Panther in the MCU.
And is this set before that?
No, it is set.
No,
after.
It's not.
This is set afterwards because he has to replace his father.
There's a few flashbacks that take place before that, but they're flashbacks. Like I think the first 5 minutes of the movie takes place in 1992. But then that's just one big flashback to basically him becoming king, and then basically becoming king and then having to fight to remain king. And you get to learn more about Wakanda, how it works, how it looks, how it became the way it is now, and how it functions. It's quite a decent movie. Although I will say this, I was watching it and I kind of realized that the story, with a few pieces moved around, was essentially the Lion King.
I've seen that meme on Facebook.
Which, of course, Aaron was quick to remind me that the Lion King is basically Macbeth. Hamlet.
Yeah.
Hamlet, sorry. My brain is not functioning on all thrusters today, but yes. It's essentially Hamlet. So, I just found it notable to think of this. The Lion King as both Black Panther and the Lion King are made by Disney.
Now I want to see Disney's Macbeth.
Disney's Macbeth. That would be it. Disney's Hamlet. I mean, actually, Disney doing Hamlet. Straight up Hamlet would be interesting, too.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, and I was watching this and I was kind of realizing that, and it is that same kind of story, but it is functionally what the origin story for Black Panther is, as far as I remember seeing from other media and comic books back in the day. And it's not a bad story. It's actually very good. A couple of people said that it was a new bar for the MCU. I didn't see it that way, but I still thought it was a really good watch, and I'm very interested to see how they fold Black Panther into the upcoming Infinity Wars. And stay, of course, all the way through the credits, because there are after credit scenes.
Of course.
If you are a big watcher of the MCU, this is a definite must-see. If you're more of a casual moviegoer, I would say probably go to see it, because I don't think there's anything else worthwhile this month.
From what I had heard, the after credit scene is valuable for people that care about the MCU, but not people who only care about Black Panther. Is that would you agree with that?
Yes. Yeah. There's two after credit scenes. One after the beginning credits, and then one after all of the credits. The after the graphical credit scene is good for Black Panther fans.
Okay.
The one after all the credits has scrolled is good for the diehard MCU fans.
Gotcha.
It actually doesn't even have Black Panther in it. It involves another character. You know, like Disney likes to do.
Mm-hmm.
So when are they going to do Howard the Duck?
Probably never.
He appeared in Guardians of the Galaxy. Actually, I think he appeared in both Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Yeah.
Yeah, they're cameoing him, but you know, after what Lucas did to Howard the Duck, I think that's one. That's
after what Lucas did to Howard the Duck, that would be like the one thing they would want to remake at this point.
Maybe he'll appear in Episode 9.
This is also and I think the first Infinity War movie are going to be the last movies before Disney starts trying to fold in the Fox licenses.
Most likely, yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be the last year of the pre-fold Disney MCU empire. Afterwards, I'm still waiting for this, because there were a few scenes I was watching this, and it's like, you know, I would love to see a Black Panther Deadpool crossover. Because I'm watching, there's a scene where he's going through, and I'm not going to say why he was doing this, but it was kind of an ongoing battle on a highway with cars flipping over, and all I could think of is wow.
From the trailers.
Yeah, this is like, wow, this is very Deadpool-esque. And I could see I could see Deadpool wanting to make comments on this.
Oh, sure, steal my highway fight. Walk this through.
Didn't I do this before? I swear I've been here before. Black Panther is apparently also Marvel Batman. Just saying.
Well, I almost call it that just by the look of his suit, but
no, I mean he was doing Batman-y things.
I always thought that Marvel Batman was Night Thrasher of the New Warriors.
I don't know. I really don't know that character that well.
Yeah.
He's a guy whose parents were killed when he was a kid, so he grows up to be a vigilante.
I mean, that's like 80% of superheroes anyway.
Yeah, it really is. But no, this one This one, only his father's been killed, so he still has a mother, and we actually get to meet his sister. I don't think we met his sister before, and she's interesting. But we also get to see there's a lot of because you get to meet the various tribes that came together to form Wakanda.
You make it sound like Wakanda's Voltron.
No, well, no. Basically, I can tell you this because they revealed this within the first 5 minutes or so of the movie. Well, the first like 15, 20 minutes or so of the movie is that in the beginning of history, there were 5 tribes that were at war, and basically, once the original king of Wakanda got his powers as Black Panther, he was able to unite 4 of them, and the 5th one went off to live in the mountains. So it is. So you get to meet basically the representatives of the 4 tribes that are part of the council and the differences between them, and you eventually get to meet the 5th tribe too. It's an interesting story. I enjoyed it a lot, but like I said, I don't think there's anything on my 2018 in film that's coming out this month that I want to really see. Maybe, what was it, Ready Player One, but I can take or leave that. It's very, actually, they had a trailer for that. I want to see it, but
there's been actually a lot of backlash against it because of the posters that are coming out.
I liked the trailer. That's all I could say. Oh wait, that's right. This month is also Pacific Rim Uprising. Yeah. Yeah. If I was the casual moviegoer, well, I guess that really depends on if I like superheroes or giant robots, which one I would go to see.
The answer is yes.
Yes. But yeah, that's of course what I'm really waiting for is May, because then you've got Deadpool 2 and Solo, a Star Wars story, that are like a week from each other.
And it is confirmed that Solo Cup is one of the sponsors.
Face palm.
Wow.
The trailer, by the way, for that was in front of the movie too. Was in front of Black Panther. And Avengers: Infinity War, by the way, is literally next month. April 27th is Infinity War. So you've got Black Panther.
Heavy spring.
Oh yeah, this is freaking. Black Panther started the 16th. So basically Deadpool's old slot from a couple years ago. Then we've got March, we've got Pacific Rim Uprising, Ready Player One. April, we've got Avengers: Infinity War. May, Deadpool 2, Solo, a Star Wars story. June, Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, which I could probably take or leave. So June is the day off. Then July, we've got Ant-Man and the Wasp. August. I think after that, I think we're done with superhero movies until November. Oh, well, The Incredibles is in there somewhere, but yeah, November. Then we've got X-Men: Dark Phoenix. Wreck-It Ralph 2. Fantastic Beasts. And then December would be Aquaman. So yeah, that's just
Khal Drogo.
Yeah, so that's just, you've got a lot of movies this year that I want to go see, because this is just a listing of some of them.
Good.
But yeah, so yeah, this week, unless you're saving all your money for Pacific Rim 2, I would go see Black Panther if you haven't already. If you wait a month, then you're going to be wanting to weigh it up versus Infinity War, and Infinity War is going to win. Okay. So that's really all I think I have to say about Black Panther. Anybody else see anything interesting?
Still waiting for my ride to get enough time to actually go see Black Panther. It might end up that we double bill it with Pacific Rim 2
Is Pac Rim 2 out already or not yet?
No, it's at the end of the month.
towards the end of the month.
Okay,
yeah.
so when I go during spring break, Black Panther will be definitely the only thing I see
When's your spring break?
next week.
Next
Like
week.
it starts tomorrow. It starts Friday, basically.
Okay, so it's like 9 through the 19th.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only thing that's starting. Oh yeah, there's nothing but crap coming out for your spring break, dude.
Mm-hmm.
The Pacific Rim Uprising comes out the Friday thereafter. It comes out. No, yeah, it comes out the 23rd.
So when we meet next week, I'll have seen the Rebels finale and Black Panther.
All right. Yeah,
Right.
there's. I'm looking at the list of what's coming out for your spring break, and I'm looking at all of it going, no, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care.
All right. So I believe last week we had a volunteer for this week's summary, right?
Did we?
I think we did.
think
That's why I
so.
didn't take notes.
Yeah, I think
That's all
we
good.
said it was up to Tim and Bill, so I believe Tim kind of
Oh.
said he would do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's
All right. Okay. So, do I just start?
Pretty much.
Okay, you got it ready to go, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, there's no timer anymore. Yeah.
Well, I have it anyways, so go ahead, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the TARDIS lands in a place, and they go outside, and Ian gets shot, but it's just a graze. But then Susan gets kidnapped by some person who says, "If you follow me, I'll kill her." And the doctor is like, "Oh no, my granddaughter! Help her! Someone! You're a cop! You stop that man!" He's like, "Don't tell me what to do." And meanwhile, Barbara is saying, "We have to get Ian to a doctor." "No, not you, a real doctor." Like, and the doctor's like, "I'm a good enough doctor to be a doctor to that. It's just a flesh wound." But oh no! So the doctor gets arrested for telling the cops what to do. Ian and Barbara end up in a hospital, and Barbara has made a new friend, so to speak. And in the hospital, Barbara and Ian meet Rosalita, an immigrant from Puerto Rico. And in the jail that the doctor is in, he meets, I believe his name is Daniel Ellis, who is the older brother of the man who kidnapped Susan. And Daniel says, "I'll help you find them, because, he's my brother." And the doctor learns that there are two gangs, street gangs, actually. The Wild Boars and the Alley Dogs. And they're in New York. And then Barbara sees a newspaper and realizes that we're in New York City just in time for the Great White Hurricane, the infamous ice storm that trapped everyone for days, and it was a big disaster. So we have to get out of here now. It's sort of like if you landed in Pompeii just before the volcano exploded.
Which the doctor has also done.
Yeah.
Just not yet.
And then, so Ian and Barbara agreed to help Rosalita find her young son, who was kidnapped by his drunken abusive dad, Daniel Ellis has agreed to help the doctor find Susan and Patrick. And meanwhile, Patrick has agreed to help Susan get back to the TARDIS. But then things are complicated when a member of the Alley Dogs forces Daniel and Robert, Daniel and the doctor to bring him along to find Patrick, because Patrick killed a member of the Alley Dogs in a gang fight. It's revealed, and they want revenge. And while all this is going on, the snow is falling, it's very windy, and it's very dangerous. A train collapses, and people are trapped on an elevated train. And the ice is... The rivers are freezing, but it's not enough to walk across, as some people are find out. But in the end, they all get back together. Rosalita tells off her husband Henry for being an asshole. Henry says, "I'm sorry, I won't be an asshole. I'll try not to be an asshole anymore." And Patrick ends up turning himself in to the police to atone for his part in murdering a member of the Alley Dogs. And the doctor and his gang, so to speak, all go back to the TARDIS. And then the doctor says, "I found out a way to return you all to Earth," which is ironic because they're on Earth now. All they have to do is wait a few years, and they'll be back in the 60s. So that's about the sum of the parts in this radio drama, The Great White Hurricane. So that's it.
You got it in about 6 minutes, and yeah, Bill, Tim, they could wait 100 years, and then it'll be the 1960s.
Actually, it'd be about 80 because it was 1880 something. So
and
yeah,
just a minor correction there. Someone from Puerto Rico would not be an immigrant since it was already a U.S. territory by that time, or should have been.
Oh, my bad.
Was it already? It's hard to tell sometimes. Yeah, our geography memory.
I'm sorry.
Actually, no. That might have been. For some reason, I messed up my years. I might have been part of the Spanish Empire at that time, so I may be full of shit.
It's a possibility either way.
I just realized it was the 1880s. We might not have had it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, it might have been a few years yet. Anyway.
So a quick question before we begin the rest. Any of the rest of you, while listening to this audio, have West Side Story going off in your head?
A little bit.
No.
I mainly had visions of the Martin Scorsese movie Gangs of New York.
I would, but I don't think I've ever seen Gangs of New York.
Yeah,
I've seen
haven't
clips.
either.
And actually, that's probably close to the mental image I had too.
I've seen clips, but I've never actually seen the actual movie. It's probably on my list of things I should probably go to see.
You should see it. It's a good movie.
Was it set around the same time?
It was set around this time, closer than West Side Story was.
Yeah, around the 1800s, yeah.
It was set in the 1860s because the Civil War was going on.
Yeah.
Oh, got you. So 20 some odd years before. That's not a huge difference.
Yeah.
Not It would be a huge difference in the 20th century.
Right.
Because God knows the 1960s were nothing like the 1980s.
Considering the accents that they used in this are the same accents they used for people from the 1930s, it's close enough.
That was part of my issue, I think.
Oh.
Was why I kept hearing West Side Story in my head.
Yeah.
Because gangs duking it out with those same accents you would get in the 1930s. And yeah.
And I bet the character of Rosalita didn't help anything.
Yeah, that didn't help either. But it actually, though, I think it was the gangs duking it out. I just suddenly got that West Side Story scene in my head, and that didn't help.
I know there wasn't recording technology back then, but is there like
there was, but it was in its very, very infancy.
Documentation of what a New York accent did sound like in the 1880s?
There probably is. There's probably like musical recordings from like Broadway or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know if microphones were that good, but some sort of recording.
They still
like
would have
that.
had like little bands and stuff that would have had
like
stuff
radio,
recording back then.
like from a radio station. At the
radio
very
stations,
least.
maybe. No,
not in the 1880s.
Not in the 1880s. No,
There
would have been like phonograph
yes,
stuff. Phonograph
that's
stuff at the very
would
best.
have been really loose, really scratchy phonograph stuff.
Yeah.
Because it was, like I said, that was still in its infancy. I can't remember when Edison actually released the phonograph, and I'm not going to go into the debate on.
And as soon as you say that, someone's going to look it up.
Well, I had already opened up a tab to do so, but I don't have to say
it.
I'm not going to get into the debate on who actually.
1877 was the first one.
Yeah.
We were paused, so.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I'm not going to get into the big debate on whether Edison or not actually invented it or stole it or whatever.
No, we're not going to delve into that. Just that 1877 was when they started to come out.
Yep.
That's all we want.
Yep. But yeah, that was released then, which means it was less than 10 years old.
This was 1888?
1884.
Yeah.
84, never mind.
84?
So yeah, it would have been about 5 years.
Yeah.
So they'd be around, but they'd still be fairly uncommon for the most part.
Right.
I think it was 84.
I thought when I Googled it, it was 88, but it's not, that fine of a point.
It's hard to tell because
88 according to Wikipedia.
Okay. Yeah, because the listing of ice storms unfortunately didn't start until the 1920s. So.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't help things, but yeah.
But this one was a big event.
Mm-hmm.
This was the Katrina of its generation. It sounds like
pretty much.
It was a horrible situation.
It was pretty damn dire. Yeah. There's enough photography footage from it that it was obviously a big thing at the time.
The Great Blizzard of 1888. Okay, so it was 88. So phonographs would have been about 10 years old, meaning it was probably only the rich that could still get anything like that. And I mean the very rich. So anyway, we've mentioned this, so let's go on to our likes and dislikes. And Matt, you are first. What did you like about this overall?
What did I like overall? David Bradley was the Doctor again?
Yes.
Yep.
I generally liked him as the first Doctor in this again. I think I'm warming up to him a bit more. There's a few more nitpicks last time. I think he's actually getting better on this one.
I only have one major bitch. They need to tell Bradley to screw up Ian's name more.
Yeah, I agree.
Make it a running joke, yeah.
Well, that's what it was in the original. He kept calling him Chesterton, Chesterfield.
Yeah.
I
think
mean,
even the novels carried
I
that over.
I think Hartnell screwed it up once, and it went over so well. They just
kept it a joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chestermeister.
Mr. Remo, the chest man.
Anyway, yeah, that's my only real bitch about him in this one. I mean, you could still tell it's not.
You can still tell it's not Hartnell, but he's
you
owning
eventually
it
just
enough.
buy it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you just buy into it and you just go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that. Tim, what's your opinion?
I did like David Bradley as this in this, but I'm guessing you want to know what my favorite
What's
thing
your
overall
favorite? Yes, overall thing
is. I thought the separate storylines were handled very well, like just the basic pacing of the story.
Yeah.
Story where it jumped from situation to situation at the right times and to the right people, I think.
Yeah, it handled itself a lot better than the last week's did.
Mm-hmm.
Where it really kind of felt drawn out, or it felt too fast in one areas and drawn out in the others. The pacing seemed a lot more metered, I think would be the best term for it. Was there anything else, Tim, or?
Is like I thought it was kind of hard to get used to the fact that this is a story without besides the fact that it's time travel, any fantastical elements. Like there are no like secret societies of robots or underground.
Yeah, it was a pure historical.
Yep.
Rather than I was going to
bring that up. Era. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
all right, Bill, how about you?
So mine is closely related to Tim's, and I thought that again with the pacing, although what I kind of narrowed in on was that it felt like the suspense was kind of kept up. That there was always something at stake. There was never just a moment where it seemed like, oh yeah, we're fine. We're just treading water, so to speak. It was either that they were, concerned because of the weather or because of O'Connell, or one way or another, there was always something at stake and some sort of suspense at the end of a given scene.
Until the climax.
Yeah.
Or until, excuse me, the post-climax. It's the follow-through.
Yeah, until after they realized the dead man was not the doctor.
Yep. Oh, I'd even forgot about that, yeah. They even added just that little bit there for just a moment.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, well, that's kind of sad, but at least it's not the doctor.
Mm-hmm. All right. As for myself, I really thought that the supporting main cast, the Ian and Susan and them, are really also starting to get into their roles a little better. Barbara less so, but Ian and Susan in particular managed to start capturing the originals to an extent.
Yeah.
I mean, you could still tell.
Ian's voice is still throwing me off, but I think all of them are finally getting used to the dialogue they're supposed to be playing for these characters, so it's starting to come through a little bit.
Yes. But it was bothering me less. I was,
Yeah.
Barbara, however, still kind of throws me out of it quite a lot.
Actually, I thought Barbara was really good on this one.
The only one I
Susan
ever had that much of a problem with was Susan, and here I think it's a little bit less, and I think the role just makes it a little easier to follow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was a little bit less. It's when she talks, her accent isn't the right accent.
Yeah.
So it throws you off of her being Susan. But here, when she's panicked, and she's panicked for most of this, you don't notice it as much.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And Susan did have those panic moments.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, she definitely had those panic moments. No, what I'm saying though is that when she's doing panic, her accent isn't
less noticeable. Yeah.
is less wrong. Okay, so I enjoyed that.
Probably the reference she used to figure out what Susan sounds like was probably a panic moment.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay, so now it's to what we didn't like, and Matt, you're first.
Didn't like.
Matt's first. Tim is on deck.
Oh. I guess one of the things we're gonna have to hit on is that while the dialogue was definitely working, in particular, Ian and Susan struck me as still not quite sounding right. Those two in particular. But they still had moments where they started to shine through better than the last story, but there's still a noticeable disconnect for me there.
Any particular lines you had trouble with?
I think Ian was just like too deep voiced. Like he needs to bring it up an octave or so.
Oh, so you mean the voices, not the dialogue?
Yeah, the voice is not the dialogue.
Okay.
The dialogue itself is usually pretty fine. It's just that they're not quite meshing yet. They're getting closer though.
Yeah, like we mentioned.
I think William Russell just had a naturally deeper voice than Jamie Glover as well.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
Also, as we mentioned last week, these actors were hired for their resemblance to the originals.
Not necessarily the sound, yes.
Not their
Which is
sound
why this was going to be a bit of an issue when they started up, at least.
Mm-hmm. Still, the fact that they're even tolerable is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
We've had much worse than Big Finish.
Yes. So, Tim, how about you?
Okay, I really thought the sort of face turns of some of the characters were a bit too spontaneous and contrived. Like the member of the Alley Dogs who is like relentlessly pursuing Patrick Ellis throughout the films. Like he finally gets them out on the river, and Patrick is like, I didn't mean to, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that felt like that was the only part I felt was edited for time.
Yeah. And also the sort of like the quote redemption of Henry, who like just sort of like puts his tail between his legs and like takes whatever Rosalita dishes out. I mean, that would be very nice if the world worked that way and people like that.
That was the least likely way for it to go down. I agree.
Yeah, that was a bit much. Okay.
Is that me next?
Yeah, that's you.
So,
it's you than me. So.
Once again, mine is closely related to Tim's, and I just thought that O'Connell could have been more of a threat all the way through, especially at the end. But if they had, if he had started out by killing somebody and just been a little bit 10% more menacing the whole way through, the ending could probably have been forgiven. But even he just lacked that extra bit of menace to really, he's like everything the doctor said he did throughout the entire thing. I think.
Which one was O'Connell?
The one that was holding the gun to them.
Okay, was he was the leader of the dogs?
Yeah, he was the leader of the dogs that was trying to trail after the kid.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Actually, if he would have been like the guy who shot Ian accidentally at the beginning of the story, that would have added more to that character already.
Yeah. I actually felt the opposite. Because my problem with that bit was the fact that he was such this hardcore, oh yeah, I'm gonna murder you, and I'm gonna rip your guts out, and I'm gonna yada, and then just does that complete 180. If they had shown somewhere in there that he had some sense of redeemable self, that he was,
like if they had done a little bit more backstory of the guy that
I'll have to explain it. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to kill him because he killed my buddy. It's not what I want to kill him, but he has to be avenged. If they had gone that way, I could have felt that his face turn was a little better written. But instead, they kind of went straight from I'm basically just a murder hobo thug to no, I'm going to do the right thing and the good thing, and
they could have done it like if I let this go, then the other alley dogs are gonna kill me.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
By the way, Murdo Hobo is Randy's catchphrase of the month.
Well, if it works, I use it. And in this case, if he's, out there, it's like, I'm going to kill him because I'm a killer and I kill everything. Yeah.
Not necessarily, but okay.
No. If that was kind of his mentality. When he comes in, it's like, I'm going to kill him and I'm going to enjoy it. And because I enjoy killing seemed to be what he acted like. And that, I don't know, it just felt like that was too abrupt. And they had softened the character a bit so we could see that there was a good side to him to appeal to.
Mm-hmm.
That would have worked. Just my thoughts on it. Anyway, that takes me to me and what I didn't like about the episode. And that is the fact that every single actor in the supporting cast that was not Ian, Barbara, Susan, everything, they basically all had identical accents and almost identical voices.
Except Rosalita.
What?
Except Rosalita. Everybody else, not only did they have basically what we sounded like a 20s New York accent, but it was a 20s New York accent from the exact same district of New York. By the way, all the tertiary characters were apparently played by the same person. Like the cop, the father, and the guy with the ladder were all the same actor.
We're all the actor. And you could kind of tell.
They tried to spice them out enough, at least, but
there was probably only so many people that could do a passable American accent.
But in the fact of the boy, and like the dogs member are two members of what was it, the Boers? Everything, they were all absolutely indistinguishable from each other. I had a hard time telling one from another because they all had that brash accent and the same tonal range, meaning they were all identical to each other in my hearing, which is a little bit off. It affects me a bit if I can't say who is that. And the fact that New York is a large place, so there should have been that accent, there should have been a Bronx accent, Should
have been Bronx, should have been Queens.
I don't know if there should have been like Bronx or Queens people in a Brooklyn gang, but
well, then there should have also been Brooklyn accents and
no, but even the people, all the guys all had the same accent. Like you mentioned, the fact that they're all played by the same person, it sounded like it because they all had the same accent. A cop should have had possibly a slightly different accent.
Yeah.
Some of the people on the train should have had different accent. Yeah. It just made it harder to tell. And it would have been nice.
Especially on the train, it would have been cool, like if there was like a commuter from like Massachusetts or something.
Not even just Massachusetts. I mean, this was a local. This was the elevated trail, so it was all New York local. But you've got so many. You've got 5 boroughs of New York. It would have been nice to see each of the 5 boroughs' accents, each told differently. And since this is made in England, people know that there's at least 4 or 5 different accents in London alone. They could assume New York has the same kind of thing going on, which it does.
To be fair, if this were the real Hartnell era, I don't think they would have pulled up.
It
that
all
many
sounded like they were from
accents.
Texas.
They've all been British.
They all would have sounded like they were from Texas.
So if they wanted to be really accurate, they should have given us a bunch of John Waynes. And I don't think we'd have liked that any more than we'd liked this.
Oh no, I hate it when other countries think that everyone in America sounds like they're from Houston, Texas. No.
Yeehaw.
No, that bothers the hell out of me. But no, it's just I would have loved to seen a little variety, because variety in accents also helps keep your characters apart. in your head. You can tell, okay, that's
Yeah.
okay. So, and I was really having trouble with that. Okay, so favorite scene. And Matt.
Favorite scene.
I've got mine.
If it's not taken.
If it's not taken. Well, there's only me in front of Bill's, so.
No, there's Bill. No, there's you and Tim.
Oh, Tim too. Sorry. Yeah, I got the order messed up already. Favorite scene. I'm going to go with. I'm actually going to go with the opening scene. With right after Ian got shot, and as Susan's getting pulled away. That part in particular, David Bradley really hit the keynotes for the first Doctor. Like, I'm enough of a doctor, I can do this. No, but Susan, no. Just this, he a lot of the first Doctor keynotes really quickly there, and it worked really well. Because it's just like
right.
one thing after another for the first Doctor in that scene.
Mm-hmm. All right. It was an okay scene. I think I had a little more issues with it, but I was kind of still having problems with Bradley's voice at that point.
Mm.
And I got over it like 2 or 3 scenes later.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Tim, what was your favorite scene?
I just loved the Doctor's big speech to O'Connell. O'Connell is like, out there, these are your people. Save your people. They might not be boars or dogs or cats or lions or tigers or bears, but we're all in this together. Yay! Rally ho! Wolverines!
Wolverines.
You went a little Scrubs on us there.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
But I really think that was one of the moments when David Bradley really owned the character of the Doctor, and or the ideal of what the William Hartnell Doctor should be.
All right. Okay, Bill.
So that's me. So I'm going to go with the scene where Ian kind of one-ups the guy with the ladder.
Oh, God damn it, Bill! God damn it, that was one of my favorites.
That was one of yours?
Yeah, just, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Yep.
Here we go. And, it was only because of Ian's reaction to it, too, because, everybody else shouting, it's like they all sound like the same person, because apparently they were all the same person.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the bit with the guy having to come back and sheepishly ask for help. It's just like, yep.
Can you help? I'll give you some money. And it's just like,
okay.
You dick.
Okay. All right, so I've got a new one. I've got one. I had to think about it for a second. That's the point where they're all trying to get the wood slats out on the ice, and the cop comes up, and he's just like, here it is. Yesterday I was arresting you, and here I am supposed to be taking orders from you, and the doctor's like, yes. Now go get wood, chop.
Yes.
I'm just like, yes.
It's like he's like, you're the one trying to tell me my job. It's like, yes, someone needs to tell you what to do. Now go get wood.
Chop. Yeah, I'm just like,
hurry up, come on. Stop standing around.
I'm like, yes, okay. Put the cop in his place because he was a dick earlier. All right.
First Doctor pwned a cop.
All right, least favorite scene.
Ooh. Probably gonna be stealing someone's scene here.
Of course, because you're first. You get the chance to steal.
But yeah, the whole heel turn on the guy that's gonna go kill Crazy and the kid, and then just you could break the heels on shoes with how quickly he turned around on the whole I'm gonna kill you to your dead thing. Just wow.
Yeah. It was pretty bad on how fast he 180'd on that. I guess I was an asshole, huh? Probably shouldn't do that. No. They never. I mean, and the fact that they all just went with it. It's like, no, you're an abusive ass.
Yeah, it's pretty damn groan worthy.
Yeah, it was pretty much absolute bollocks. Is what that was. It was total shit. I mean, if you think about how many times an abusive person goes, yeah, well, I'll change, and then 2 days later they're doing the same damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you would have thought that Ian and Barbara and the others would have been wiser and kind of realized that.
Just kicked them in the ice.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that entire scenario is what kicked off The Shining.
Pretty much. Okay. So, Tim, how about you? What was your least favorite scene?
Least favorite scene at the end where they find the dead body in the snow that they think is a doctor, but it's not, and it's like, okay, but who is it? Or is it? And if it's no one, why put it there to begin with? It's like it's Chekhov's body.
It would have been nice if it was a historical figure that is known to have perished during that hurricane or something.
Well, apparently there were a couple of bodies that were found in the snow like that.
I'm sure there were many, but yeah, I get his point. Like, it's, kind of made major, where it would be nice if it was someone who was major at the time.
Or at least somebody that we had heard about earlier. Like if there had been some old guy that was out panhandling. Like, early on in the episode where we hear him, calling, do you have any change? That kind of thing.
Change! You got change!
Come on, help a guy out!
So that at least we knew who he was.
Yeah.
So it was just that moment of sadness, but, there was nothing they could do. I could have taken that as well, but no, it was just this random add-in because we needed another 2 minutes. And
need another extra, half minute or so of tension.
Yep.
Or even if it was like an Easter egg, like if they were like, oh, this is Sergeant Quick, which would have been sad, but would have been an interesting reference.
All right, Bill, how about you?
So I don't think this is taken yet, but it was an accident. I don't believe you. It was an accident. I don't believe you. It was an accident. I don't believe you. It was an accident. Okay, I believe you.
Well, yeah, but mind you, a lot of that was in there where the other people were telling him it was an accident, and he's like, I don't believe it. And then it was up to him to actually say it was, and he could actually see the expression on his face, which again isn't really able to be told. If we saw the expression on it,
if we saw the expression on his face, like if it was televised, like, and that might have redeemed the scene, but without it, it falls
kind of
flat
meh.
for me.
Yeah, it had to have been a hell of an expression to win the guy over that quickly.
Again, it's kind of where sometimes audio just can't really portray that kind of thing.
Right. And I don't think his voice changed enough to really sell it.
There was a change, but yeah, it wasn't that much.
All right, so my least favorite scene. I think probably it was the doctor interacting with the cop in the very beginning. Not because the cop was so much of an asshole, but the fact that the doctor was so much of a stubborn old goat that he got himself arrested.
I mean, I do think that's something the first doctor would have done.
Yes.
To that extent, but not to keep protesting like that.
Oh, I don't know.
I think they played it slightly too much.
Depending upon his mood that week, he could have protested that much, and maybe more.
Because he almost seemed delusional. And that bothered me a little bit.
Actually, you know what that did bother me in that is that he did start to like try and name drop and stuff, and it's just like even the first Doctor would have known better.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
part of the thing there, like, I don't think the cop was that much of a dick. I think he was more like, okay, we physically can't go out and look for this gun-toting madman while there's an old man threatening to get in the way.
It's like, we've got an issue and I have to deal with this nut
Right.
job.
It's like, this old man is going to get shot if we don't lock him up.
Yeah, it just seemed like, the Doctor usually had slightly more common sense than that, even in the original days. It's like, if I do this, they're gonna lock me away. And he just seems to be absolutely oblivious, and like you said, tries to even name drop out of it, which is really dumb.
Which I think is a third Doctor thing more than anything else, at
Oh
least
yeah,
at that point.
I think the second Doctor did it a little too, but only a little.
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed a little out of place.
I mean,
to me.
the only one I think that would have walked up to modern day cops and started name dropping is the third Doctor. I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, the third Doctor would drop references because he had references he could actually drop.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The fourth Doctor did it a little bit too, but
a smidge.
I think Houdini came up a few times.
Mm-hmm. Houdini especially, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I also remember the Doctor casually remembering getting voice trained by what's-her-face, the woman who could shatter glasses with her voice, back in The Power of Krull, which we reviewed way back when. All right. So that's really all of our likes and dislikes. And let's see, we're at like 1 hour 10 now. Is there anything else anybody wants to say about this?
Don't think so.
Nothing that wouldn't lead into what we're about to do anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't know anything. Anybody want to put any more commentary about it being a solid period piece?
Oh, yeah, this actually is a historical, and it's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of always afraid that Big Finish wouldn't be able to pull off doing a pure historical. But
and I actually think this is one of the snappiest historicals I can think of. There may be one or two better, but most of them drag on a bit compared to this. Which is part of why they were scrapped.
And, if you think about it, last week's episode dragged on a bit.
Yeah.
This one timed in at 1 hour 38 minutes according to iTunes.
Yep, this is a half hour shorter than last week's.
Yep. And it felt a lot improved in that aspect. Now, 1 hour 30 is a little short for a 4-part serial for Doctor Who, but not by much.
Yeah, it probably would have been. It probably would have been a 5-parter in the '60s and would have dragged on a bit more with a lot of recap. But this is also bingeable, whereas there was no such thing in the '60s.
Pretty much.
Our society's all binge watching now. This is what we do. I'm honestly waiting for networks to just disappear and everybody just binge watches every show. They all get dropped down a season at a time. And
well, that depends if the current streaming crisis doesn't destroy the streaming market by every channel charging a separate subscription fee.
Which they are trying to do, and it's all going to backfire somehow.
Oh yeah, it'll happen for a collapse.
I just hope we're not the ones that suffer in the crossfire.
No, it's going to be like the web crash of the 90s.
Yeah, it's going to be like the .com crash of like 99, 2000, where all the tiny little ones will crash out and die.
And get bought up by the big ones that will slowly, hopefully, dig their heels in and keep things going.
And so we'll wind up with 2 or 3 big, huge companies, which will probably be Netflix and Hulu.
Yeah, especially now that Disney owns Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
And YouTube,
Yep.
of course, but they're mostly a different market.
But yeah, when that happens, though, things might go to this whole binge watching format. I mean, already we're seeing most of the broadcast networks, the over-the-air networks are in trouble. So it
Happened for
wouldn't
a while.
surprise. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me that would be the future of it. But so putting stuff in the quick bingeable format is good, rather than trying to go for the old drawn out serial, which makes me a little worried about how Doctor Who is going to be handling things. But then again, they may be pacing themselves for the binge watchers too.
Maybe.
We'll
We'll see.
have to see.
Anyways.
And there's no song in between episodes. Yay.
Between scenes. Oh God.
That's gonna be an episode we're gonna have to watch soon, isn't it?
Probably. It's not on our. It's not.
Not on the immediate list, but I bet you in the next year
not
or
on the
two.
coming season, but we should get to it eventually. Yeah.
Just so people get the reference and we can cringe every time.
Just to torture me, huh? I mean, it's not a bad song by itself, but after the 8th time you've heard it.
Spite.
I remember seeing a fan theory on Twitter that that song is always there from that some version of that song is always there from the TARDIS, and that the only time the audience gets to hear it is in that serial. And I'm like, oh God, like that would be torture to travel with.
Yes, it would. All the Doctor's companions would be mad by the end of it. Just
no
mad.
wonder they just randomly.
Why do we keep singing this song every time?
It's been a great ride, Doctor. You've showed me so many things, but if I hear that song one more time, I'm going to have to kill somebody.
It's no wonder they marry the first man they see outside of the TARDIS.
Let me out. Let me away from the song. No, the song is driving me nuts. No. Okay, so final thoughts. And I do believe Matt is up first.
Have been so far this episode. Final thoughts. I think the voice acting talent is starting to get their niche. They're being very well written. It's just a matter of them getting the right tone yet, and I'm sure with practice they'll get there. They seem to already at least starting to get there. There's a few fixes to be had, but otherwise the script itself is snappy enough that we cut out a half hour from last time and we don't miss it. And there's only a few tiny flaws with some of the like third tier characters. You got the front tier, you got the first tier, which is like the Doctor, the second tier, which is the companions, and then you got the third tier people there, one story only.
The bit cast.
Yeah, the bit casts that are just like, there's a few flaws here, but they're all right.
All right. Tim.
I think that as a purely historical story, this is the best one I've encountered so far. Seen or listened to. I think David Bradley is really coming into his own in the race to like get the characters down of the four travelers. He is out in the lead. But I didn't think that the supporting characters' voices were that alike. I sort of like, or it might have been just like the writing itself. Like I could tell like who was speaking who during each scene. But other than that, I thought there was a serviceable story and it was pretty good.
All right. Bill?
Okay, so like I said before, I think this was well paced, pretty snappy historical, better than last week's, and again better than most historicals I've experienced. Kept up the tension. The voice thing didn't really bother me because, like Tim said, the writing made it pretty clear. I think they were separate enough where, even though it was a very generic, stereotypical accent, it didn't make it difficult for me to tell who was talking, at least when it mattered. The gang members all just blurred into one anyway. There were a few minor issues, which I think were, they didn't have enough to make another half an hour, but at the same time, the abusive father and O'Connell maybe could have used another 10 minutes. But altogether, I think it was a stronger episode than last week, despite not having the master.
Okay. So, me. I thought the voice acting by the main cast was improved. Not perfect, but improved.
Mm-hmm.
The tertiary cast, however, I did find to be more or less disposable. And I'm not sure if what they were acting was actually
if it was intentional, like to be like the old school stuff, or if it was just that they didn't have good direction.
No, that their voices were meant to be properly period, or if it was just let's just do a New York accent. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell when you're dealing with somebody not from New York trying to stage an accent. Also, I did hear a few places where the accent broke down by the actor. Because I'm very good at recognizing that.
Apparently.
Now. When you can
when
hear
it's
that
an obviously when it's an accent that seems to be playing more toward a stereotype than a real thing, I don't look for that, because a stereotypical accent has kind of a built-in like rubber band function.
No, this was more the case that I could hear their British accent creep in.
Glass.
In a few places where it would a little too much. And they would just pronounce something in just the wrong way that you only ever hear a British person pronounce it that way. It was just one of those things that, you're trying to mimic an accent, you just don't have it down entirely. Anyway, I did hear a little bit of that. And then the writing was good, but it was a little holes, and it was a little kind of Deus-y at the end, where it was kind of like, I'm just going to turn good because I'm turned good, for not really giving me a reason. Which is something I would accuse Gaddis of doing. I was kind of hoping Big Finish would do a little better on that, so I'm slightly disappointed. But all in all, I do feel that it was improved from last week's, which, as you know, bugged me. Okay, so let's open up our little ratings page and start calling out numbers. Matt, you get to call first.
Oh gosh, I get to call the first one. I got to be the footholder for this one. What was last week? I think I gave it a 3.5.
Correct.
So I think this is going to be at least a 4.
4.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, BKB.
Definite
Tim.
Improvement.
Okay, I'm going to be.
You gave it a 3.5 last week. What are you giving it this time?
I'm going to be really harsh on this story and give it a 4.
Okay. Bill, last week you gave a 3.
I'm also going with the 4.
Ooh.
And I also gave it last week a 3, and I'm also giving it a 4.
Oh my God.
Making it a unanimous panel, considering we have no Aaron tonight. That 4 4s equals 4.
Holy shit, this one skyrocketed compared to the first episode.
Yeah. I felt it was a lot better than the first episode. I was kind of disappointed last week by the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Despite some of the good things in it. But yeah, there was some disappointments, and this one definitely carried a lot better, thank God.
Hooray.
They rebounded after one episode.
Yeah. It puts me in hoping that things will improve.
Yeah, if things continue to improve, sure, let this cast continue.
All right, so at 4.0, we'll put this at number 96.
Ooh.
Out of 238. It is above the halfway mark.
Mm-hmm.
It is on par with Castrovalva, Hunters of Earth, Light at the End, Planet of the Spiders, Rose, Stage Fright, co-owner of A Lonely Heart, / Bravest Heart, and Heaven Sent and Everything Changes. Terminus. Oh, yeah, there's a whole bunch of 4s. Father Valeyard, Good Man Goes to War, Runaway Bride, Attack of the Cybermen, Vengeance on Veros. It is better than Knock Knock, Brain of Morbius, Colony in Space, Deadly Assassin. Wow, it's better than Deadly Assassin.
Wow.
Warrior's Gate, Revenge
Probably
of the
because of
Selene.
my vote.
Probably. Into the Dalek, Technophobia, Blink, and it is worse than Oxygen, The Daemons, Pilot, The Brink of Death, The Girl Who Died, Closing Time, The Chaos Pool, State of Decay, Under the Lake Before the Flood. Yeah. So
yeah, those are hard ones to get across.
yeah.
So they did a good job just to get under it.
Yep. So that's really it. 96 of... How many are we done now? 238. That's all we really have to say about the Great White Hurricane.
All right. So if you enjoy listening to us, please, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss our broadcasts on twitch.tv/Unearthly Podcast, or for our uploads at YouTube on under the name Unearthly Podcast. You can also follow us and like us for news and updates at facebook.com/Unearthly Podcast and twitter.com/Unearthly Pod. And if you want to support us, going over to patreon.com/Unearthly Podcast.
All right. Well, next week, it's that time again. John Barrowman's birthday is around the corner, and with that, our annual review of a Torchwood episode. Next week, it's Torchwood Ghost Machine, written by Helen Rayner and starring John Barrowman as Captain Jack Harkness, Eve Miles as Gwen Cooper, Bern Gorman as Owen Harper, Naoko Mori as Toshiko Sato, and Gareth David Lloyd as Ianto Jones. So, see you next week.
Arrivederci.
All right. Good night.